Okay. So in the last session we completed up to reciprocal customers. Now we'll see cross-currency receipts. Okay, cross-currency receipts. So we'll take this topic. So if you create transaction in one currency and receipt in the different currency, still system will allow us to apply the receipt on the different currency transaction. To support that, what setups we have to do? We have to enable bank account as a multi-currency account. Multi-currency account. Enable multi-currency account. Checkbox at bank account. So we have to just enable multi-currency account, multi-currency option for bank account, and we have to create the daily rates. So create daily rates. So after completing this setup, we can go with the process. Say we'll create the transaction in USD, which is our functional currency, and we'll create the receipt. So create the receipt in foreign currency, that is INR, and this receipt we can apply receipt on USD transaction, which we call as a cross-currency receipts. So receipt currency will be different from transaction currency. We'll go and test it. First, we have to enable multi-currency. We have to enable bank account as a multi-currency account. Let's go to bank account. Okay, we'll do from the project, or else directly you can go to search, and you can search for the task called as bank accounts. Let's click on this manage bank accounts task. Find our bank account. Our bank account name is Cloud INC. So click on bank account. Click on edit. Scroll little down. Here we have multi-currency account checkbox. We have to make sure that this is enabled. So in our case, it's already enabled. In payables, as a part of the relevant transactions, foreign currency payments and cross-currency payments purpose we enabled. Same we could see here. So for this cross-currency receipts also, this should be enabled. Okay, it's already enabled. Now we'll go and create the daily rates. Okay, search for the task called as daily rates. Okay, just manage daily rates. So go to daily rates tab. Say create in spreadsheet. Say open. Say connect. So username Cloud INC and provide password. So skip this version related check. From currency, say USD to INR. Anyway, system will create inverse rate INR to USD also. So conversion rate type. Say corporate. from and to date for conversion. Say July 14. Sorry, reach it. Just we are going to test now. So we need for today, that would be enough. So $1 equal to how much INR? Says 68. Now you can import this rate definition into application. Done. So now we'll create transaction USD. Just go to transaction workbench by clicking on billing task. Go to task list, say create transaction. So transaction sources, cloud in INC invoice, select our customer, customer 1. So provide description. Services or goods, you can write description or else you may select item. Okay. So find this will say $100. It would be easy for us to take conversion. So transaction we are creating with $100. Or you can say complete and close. Transaction number is 6. Now go to accounts receivables, nothing but receipt workbench. Say create receipt. Select receipt method. Receipt number. And say we received amount from the customer in rupees. Select customer payment currency. Here you can see conversion rate system will default. With this today date, conversion is available between INR and USD. So that is, this is a conversion. 1 INR is equal to 0.0147 cents. Fine. That is already available since we created. Now how amount we received from the customer in rupees, that you can enter. So how much you received, just you can enter that here. Just I am entering 6,800. So if the amount is exactly equal to $100, but maybe since same date just I am taking in that way, you may enter different amount. The variance system will hit to realized gain or loss account, which we already given in the system options. So what are the amount we receive from the customer, we have to enter here. The rest of process remains same. and select customer details, customer 1, the customer site. Now say submit and do apply. Click on add open receivables. So transaction number is 6. Now here when you are going to search for this transaction number 6, you should specify include cross currency transaction, otherwise system won't display. It will look for the transactions which are available with the same receipt currency. Receipt currency we have in INR. It will try to find out the transaction INR, but we don't have anything. So to find out cross currency transactions, which transaction currency is different from receipt currency, you have to enable this. Enable and search. Now it will find out the transaction to apply this receipt on the transaction. So we can see this transaction is created in USD, right? Under USD. Here for our testing purpose, we entered receipt amount which would be exactly equal to transaction amount in the different currency. But if we enter in the different currency, different amounts and all, that system will take care of the variance. Here again the cross currency rate, or once again you can specify that is 68. Okay. Now you can say save and close. Done. So this is a process. Even we follow the same in EBS also. Done. That's all about cross currency receipts. Now see the receipt write-off functionality. So we have many cases where we use receipt write-off, right? We'll go with one example. What we'll do is we'll take simple example. Say customer paid some excess amount, but that is very small amount. So customer is not interested to take that money back, and we are not going to keep on customer account. We want to nullify that amount. Okay, we want to nullify that very small amount. Say customer has to pay $9,999, but customer paid $10,000. $1 is excess amount, so we can apply up to transaction amount, right? We'll create receipt with the $10,000. We'll apply up to $9,999. Remaining $1 will remain in our receipt as unapplied. If you don't apply that amount, it will keep coming in all the reports. Okay, as $1 is unapplied amount against so customer. Anyway, the customer is not interested to take it back, and we are not going to use that amount on account or any other scenarios. In that case, instead of keeping that amount as is, the best thing is we can write off so that we can avoid that the $1 in all the reports whenever you run the relevant reports. Fine. So we'll see, like, to implement this receipt write-off, what setups we have to perform first. Okay, we'll go with a simple example. First we'll see what setups required. So we have to set the write-off limits for our business unit. I mean business unit in the sense system options. Through system options we set at BU level, right? So we have to set write-off limit set system options level will set write-off limits. And okay, system options level means organization level. That is nothing but our business unit. So again, within that business unit, the users who are working, for user specific write-off limits also we have to set. So for that you can say set write-off limits for user. And when you perform the write-off amount system should capture into separate account. For that, we can create that account specification through receivable activity. Say create receivables activity for receipt write-off. Okay, basically these are the setups we have to perform to implement it. Once we are ready with the setups, what we'll do is we'll go and create one transaction. Say create transaction. We'll create the transaction with say $9,999, and we'll create receipt with the 10,000 as we received from the customer. So create a receipt with $10,000, and finally we can apply only up to 9,999, since we are following natural applications only. That means max you can apply up to transaction amount only, not more than transaction amount. You cannot apply the receipt. In case of over applications, yes, we can do that, right? So now in this scenario, the unapplied amount will remain as a $1 on USD. Now we will go on to write off this $1. We will perform write off for this $1. Done. So first we'll complete these setups, then we'll go with this transaction part to test that functionality. Fine. So go to system options. What we'll do is we'll open one more tab for setups. So go to our implementation project. So find our project. Just open this project. So we have to go to system options to set the write-off limits at BU level. So system options. So manage receivable system options. Just click on go to task icon. Select our business unit. And search. Okay, click on the BU name. So system will open this BU specific system options. And here go to cash processing. Here we can set write-off limits per receipt from and to. The range you can set. So here we know we can have a negative scenarios also to perform write-off. Say customer is not paying, we want to write off. That scenario is totally different from what we are going to test. So in that case, the write-off limits will be giving in the negative amount, but now it's excess amount, so positive. So here you can specify from 0 to $1,000 write-off limits we are giving for this BU. Done. So save and close. Now we have to set write-off limits for user. So user specific write-off limits you cannot, user specific write-off limits, if you want to create, the self approval limits cannot be created. That means we want to set write-off limits for this user. If you want to set write-off limits for this user, from this user you cannot set it. That means self write-off limits cannot be defined. If you are going to create the write-off limits, that should not be for the same user. If you want to create for this user, you have to create from different user. We'll test it, and we'll do it later. Say approval limits. The write-off limits we can define with the help of approval limits tasks. So basically the write-off limits will be setting. Purpose is write-off. So task is manage approval limits. Click on go to task icon. Let me write here. Okay. Just click on create. System won't allow to set self approval limits. We'll see that. So see the message. You cannot create or update your own approval limits. System identified. So from this user we are doing, and we are trying to set the approval limits for the same user. So contact the help desk. Self approval limits we cannot define. So if you want to set for this user, we have to do it from different user login. Okay. So just sign out from this user. So we have to log into the instance as a different user. So I'm going to log in as ERPT user. Go to setup and maintenance. Go to task list. Search for the task called as approval limits. Okay, manage approval limits. Say create. So here you can select user called as Cloud IRC. Just say OK. So document type, receipt write-off, currency USD, minimum approval amount. Organization level means BU level through system options we given 0 to 1000. For this user we can give 0 to $100. Organization level 1000. Here for this user max $100 only. Say save and close. See, we are able to create approval limits or say write-off limits from different user. Now we can sign out from this user and we can continue with our user. Fine. So we completed system options and the approval limits we created. Now we have to create the write-off receivable activity for receipt write-off. Okay, just navigate to implementation project, or else directly you can go to search page. We'll do it from search. You can search for receivables activities. So manage receivables activities. Say create. Won't search it. Search for Cloud IMC. So that means search criteria is maybe exact equals yes. Change to start with and search. Fine. You can give the name as Cloud IMC write off. Select activity as a receipt write off and just specify that write off account. Okay. So search for write off account. So we have account called as receipt write off. Select save. Save and close. Done. Now we'll go with the transaction part. So for that, let's open different tab. So create transaction. So transaction source is Cloud INC invoice. Customer name Cloud INC. Customer 1. Services $9,999. Say complete and close. Transaction number is 7. Okay. Now say customer paid $10,000. We have to record the receipt and we have to apply. Go to accounts receivable. Go to task list. Say create receipt. Receipt method is check receipt number and enter amount which we received from customer. So $10,000. Find out the customer and select the customer. Select customer site, from which site we received this amount, and you can say submit and apply. So add open receivables. The transaction number is 7. Right, directly you can enter transaction number in receipt reference number field and click on search. Select, just click on add, click on done. Now here we can see from $10,000, $9,999 are applied on this transaction, and $1 is unpaid amount. Now we'll go on to write off this amount. Okay. To write off, you can go to actions and go to more. You can say create write off. So if you have more than $1, you may specify that how much amount you want to write off. But here just $1, the total amount you can write off. When you write off, this amount should hit to which account? The account which is available in the receivable activity. That receivable activity you can select. Cloud INC write off receivable activity. Just say OK. Now the same line system will display here. Okay. You are writing off, then say save and close. So this is how just we can write off if any excess amount is available. Okay, now just we'll look at customer refund. Okay, depending on the scenario, how to refund amount to customer. Now we'll take the same example here. Just we take an $1 and we are performing the write off. If amount is more than $1, say customer we got some excess amount of $100, $200. In that case, customer may ask us to keep on account, or else customer may ask us to refund it. We'll go with the refund case and we'll see what setups required, and we'll go with a simple example. So when you talk about this customer refund, so here also we have to perform we have to set up the limits and all. It's more similar to this write off only. So however we are setting the limits for write off, in the same way we have to set organization level as well as it's not minimum write off limits will be specifying. We'll see that. Just first we'll talk about what basic setups we have to complete to implement this customer refund functionality. So first what we have to do is we have to specify what should be the minimum refund amount, okay, to perform the refund. What should be the minimum amount to perform the refund, which we call as minimum refund amount. Say set minimum refund amount in system options. In system options we have to specify what should be the minimum amount to perform the refund. So after that we have to set approval limits for user, which normally we don't set in case of EBS. EBS, when you are performing the customer refunds, there is no setup which we call as setting approval limits for user. In case of write-off we do it, not for refund. But here we have to set for refund also. Say set or create approval limits for user. Okay, approval limits to perform the refund. Then to capture this refund amount with a separate account, we will create the receivable activity. So create receivables activity for refund. So more or less similar setups. Here system options level we are setting, here also same, user approval limits, user approval, receivable activity, receivable activity. Okay, done. So now we'll go with a simple case. So we'll create transaction with $9,000 and say we received from customer 10,000. Create receipt to 10,000, and in this case we can apply only $9,000. Remaining $1,000 will have as a unapplied amount. So now, if you want to refund this $1,000 back to the customer, so what we have to do is, as a mandatory, we have to remit this receipt to bank. So we have to perform the remittance. Remit receipt. Against which receipt you want to perform the remittance, the receipt status should be remitted. Otherwise, you cannot perform a refund in the system process. So remit receipt to bank. We don't need to write it. Just simply say remit receipt. Once we remit the receipt, system will update the status for receipt as a remitted. Receipt status should be remitted. Then only you can create refund. You just create refund for $1,000. When you create the refund, automatically system will create the refund transaction in payables application, because for customer we have to make the payments always we process from payables. Automatically system will convert customer as a trading partner, and it will create the transaction in payables as payment request. So once you perform the refund, what system will do? System creates payment request. It's invoice type. System creates payment request in AP. So that will go on to C. Okay. So first we'll complete required setups for customer refund. Okay, go to system options. So to implementation project. Just to open the project. Go to system options. System options. So manage receivable system options. Click on go to task icon. Select RBU. Say search. So go to cash processing, and here you have a field called as minimum refund amount. Should be minimum, say $10. If you want to refund to the customer, that amount should be minimum $10. As a control we are setting. That means less than $10 we don't refund. Fine. Now we have to set up approve limits for user to perform this refund. We know approve limit, we cannot set self approve limits, so we have to do it from different user. I can sign out from this user, log into the instance with a different user. So in the same environment we have another user called as CRPT. Okay. So set up on maintenance. search, say approval limits. So manage approval limits. Say create, select our user. Okay. Username is Cloud INC. Select, say OK. Document type, select as credit. For credit memo, against the credit memo, if you are going to perform the refund, okay, the same we have to select. It could be normal, not refund which directly you do, okay, based on the scenario, or else it may be you may create the refund based on the credit memo. For both scenarios, we'll be using the document type as the same. We don't have separate document type just for refund. Same we have to use. Set currency. So approval limits. Approval limits say 02 for refund purpose. $10,000 for this user. Say save and close.
So this
Yeah.
so this credit memo refund means credit memo and refund.
Against credit memo refund. Okay, see a simple example. You got a sales returns from your customer. You will perform the RMA in order management, right? So say RMA for sales returns for $1,000. Then automatically system will create credit memo in receivables. So against that credit memo, you will make the payment to customer as a refund. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. When customer is returning, you may replace the material or else for the whatever the material is customer is returning to you. Against that, you may have to make the payment. In that scenario, against that system will create the credit memo, will process the payment. Okay, that is the meaning of the credit memo refund against the credit memo. That means
Okay.
simply you can take sales returns. For sales returns, so you are going to refund. Okay, fine. That is the point. Fine. We specified approval limits for this user. You can sign out from this user, and we have to create the receivable activity. Fine. Go to setup and maintenance. Go to search. So task name is receivables activities. Manage receivables activities. Say create. Select RPU. Okay. So name is, you can write Cloud IRC refund. Select activity type as refund. Select refund account. So we'll go with this search criteria. So refund account. Say okay. Say save and close. So done. We completed required setups. Right. Now we'll go and perform these transactions. And before we just go and create the refund and receivables, we have to make sure that payables periods are open. Okay, we'll go to the payables and we'll check the payable periods are open or not. The system is going to create payment requests in the payables. The period should be open. Go to payables. So go to task called as manage accounting periods. So here is our ledger. With this ledger, only one BU is associated Cloud ILC US business unit. Just click on this ledger. So here we can see as July period status is open. Okay. Now go to transaction workbench. Say create transaction. So transaction with $9,000. Select transaction source. And select customer. Write description. Say services. So $9,000. Say complete and do close. Transaction number is 8. Fine. So now we'll create receipt with the $10,000 and we'll apply the receipt amount on transaction which is open. Go to receipt workbench. Say create receipt. Okay, enter receipt number. Go to 122. So enter amount. How much we received? Say $10,000. And from which customer we received? Cloud INC. Cloud INC customer 1. And select customer site. Say submit and apply. Now click on add open receivables. And we want to apply which transaction? Transaction number 8. Search.
Lakshman, do we have to remember the transaction numbers or will it show all the open transactions?
Yeah, you can search right directly. You can just instead of giving the transaction number, you can search with the customer name. It will list out all the customer associated transactions. Okay, since we know that I am entering, otherwise here open the search. Don't give transaction number. Search with the customer name. Search. Now it will display all the open transactions available from that customer. Select this. We are applying the receipt on this transaction. Set up. So applied. $1,000 or unapplied amount. Fine. Now save it. Now receipt status is confirmed. So we have $1,000 as unapplied. If you want to refund this $1,000, you can go to actions and go to more. Here you could see issue refund is grayed out. That means this receipt doesn't have any eligibility to perform the refund. The reason, so as per system, the condition is if receipt is remitted to bank, at least cleared or not, system won't verify. At least the system receipt status is remitted, then only it will allow to refund any unapplied amount against the receipt. Now receipt status is confirmed, not remitted. Now we have to go on to perform the remittance for this receipt, then we will be able to perform the refund. Okay, so say save and close. Receipt number is 1122. We are in the receipt workbench. Just say create remittance batch. Let me meanwhile. So just zoom out, you can see the name exactly, task name. So create receipt remittance batch. Click on this task. We are going to perform the remittance, receipt remittance. Okay. So criteria you can specify. This receipt class, method. Okay, with this criteria, which are receipts which are available, it will display. From that, you can select the receipt called as 1122. So receipt number, the number you can search. Select, say apply, and say done. So only one receipt we selected into remittance batch, that you can say save and close. Just we selected. Now go to manage receipt remittance batches. To go to manage receipt remittance batches, you can find that receipt batch which you created with one receipt. Okay. Search with our BU, only one batch we have. Okay. So completed. Okay, completed creation. So only one receipt we have. If you just click on that to open, it will display. Now you can select this and just say approve. Now system will treat it as it's a remitted. The system will turn this status to approved. We'll wait to see that status. Completed approval. Done. Now you can see the receipt status as remitted. If receipt status is remitted, if any unapplied amount is available within the receipt, system will allow us to refund. Okay, now go to manage receipts. Our receipt number is 1122. Click on search. Open this receipt. Click on receipt number. Now receipt status is remitted. Now we can perform the refund. So go to actions, go to more, say issue refund. So unapplied amount is $1,000, but how much you want to refund? Total amount or maybe $500 or $600. How much you want to refund? You can overwrite that amount here. And customer party site, select it. Refund payment method. How? By following which method you want to refund. So check. Okay, done. So you can say okay and save it. Now system will create the refund transaction. In payables, the same, it will show that the invoice number as a application reference number here. Whatever the refund transaction, refund invoice system is creating in the payables as a payment request, that number it will display. If you click on this, it will show whatever the invoices system created in the payables. You can see from here. See invoice. This is the number it created in the payables, and the supplier or party it is taking as a Cloud ARC customer one, supplier site. This is the site system is taking. Okay, this is the amount. Invoice type is payment request. Created. We can go and find from payables itself. So save and close. Go to invoice workbench. So we refunded $1, so $100,000 that you could see. Click on this. Okay, so $1,000. Can just open. Fine. So the type is payment request, $1,000. This you can just make the payment. Okay, you can make the payment by going with the painful option. This is a standard process. Okay, this is how just we can perform the refund. This also, if you compare with EBS, no difference you could see. No difference you see. Okay, it's as it is. That's all about customer refund. Now we'll look at aging methods. So we have aging buckets in EBS. The same, the naming convention they given as a aging methods. Fine. We'll go and create the aging buckets, and we'll take into report and we'll submit, and it should display the results accordingly. So go to implementation project. You can search for the task called as aging methods. Aging buckets only, here just naming convention they are giving as aging methods. Okay, manage aging methods. It seems to there is some issue with this task. We'll try to perform once again. We'll try from here. Search. Okay, there is some issue with the task. We'll try from this browser. So task name is using methods. So there is some issue with the task. Okay, it's not opening. And that we'll see later. It's a simple task. We created aging periods and the payables, right? We created and we selected as a parameter into report definition. Same way here also, same aging method will create, we'll select into as a parameter. Accordingly, to displace past due or however you define past or future or current due, relevant transactions. Fine. That we'll see in the other instance since it's not working in this. Now we'll look at revenue recognition. Fine. So you have to set up required accounts for revenue recognition. We know like unbilled receivables and unearned revenue, depending on scenario, the system will use it. We'll set up auto accounting for revenue recognition. Set up auto accounting. Let's say set up auto accounting. So basically we have two type of accounts for revenue recognition: unbilled receivables and unearned revenue. For those two, we'll configure the auto accounting. In case of EBS, we'll create accounting rule. Accounting rule for revenue schedules. Since we are creating the accounting rule for revenue schedules, here in Fusion they given the task name itself as a revenue schedules. The name will be scheduling, revenue scheduling. So in EBS case, we'll perform that setup as a accounting rule. What purpose we create accounting rule? For revenue scheduling purpose. So that is the reason that setup itself, the name they given as a revenue scheduling. So once we're done with that, we'll create the transaction, okay, including that revenue schedules, and we'll run the revenue recognition. That's all. Okay, fine. We'll go and set up the auto accounting first. Search for the task called as auto accounting. So manage auto accounting rules. Task name is manage auto accounting rules. So click on create. Select RBU. So So for revenue recognition, we have to set unbilled receivables and unearned revenue. We know like unbilled receivable system will use if you use the invoice rule as a in arrears. If you use the invoice rule as a in advance, it will use unearned revenue account. Right? It's a completely accounting logic. So we'll create the auto accounting rule for first unbilled receivable. Search for unbilled. I think change the search criteria. So unbilled accounts receivable. Say create another unearned revenue. Unearned, unearned revenue. Say contains I'll just search with the term called as revenue. Okay. So seems to amount revenue is not.
There is unallocated revenue.
Yeah, unallocated. Yes. So we can go with this. Okay. The exact name we don't have. Say done. Say save and close. Fine. We just completed auto accounting, which is required for revenue recognition. Now we'll go and create the revenue schedules. We can perform this task from search or else we can do from project. So revenue scheduling. Search with the term called as revenue scheduling. We are going to create the revenue scheduling rule, which is equal to accounting rule in EVS. Just name they changed. Click on go to task icon. Let's say create. You can go with a common set. Sorry. So say the revenue scheduling we are going to the contract is for 4 months contract. I'll say Cloud INC 4 months contract. For 4 months contract we want to schedule the revenue. Type you can say fixed schedule since we are specifying 4 months. We have to say fixed schedule how many months. 4 months. Then automatically system will distribute equally. If you want to change, you can change it. Then this would be fine. Just say done. Now we'll go to create the transaction. Within the transaction, we'll select the revenue scheduling rule and you'll enter the transaction amount, nothing but you can treat as contract value. Then we'll run the revenue recognition. System will recognize for the current period. So we can go and create the transaction. So now go to transaction workbench. Go to task list, say create transaction. Cloud INC invoice transaction. So here you can specify service contract. Service contract, say one quantity, say 1 lakh. Okay, how the revenue scheduling should applicable. For that you can go to revenue scheduling tab. Here you can specify the rule. Sorry, I just forgot. Here you have to select the invoicing rule. Now it won't accept. If you try to select it, it won't be applicable. Before you navigate to lines only, you have to do it. We'll just create one more. Whether it should be bill in advance or arrears, we have to select. Fine. So Cloud INC invoice and select invoicing rule in advance or in arrears. I'll say in advance. So system will just use the account call as unearned revenue, right? So Cloud INC customer 1. Description says service contract. Okay, go to revenue schedule. Now here you can select the revenue scheduling rule which we created. We created as a Cloud INC 4 months contract. System will default all that information. The revenue scheduling should start from, the revenue recognition should start from which period, start date and all you can specify. Okay, now you can say save. Directly you can say save. So complete and do review or close. Say complete and do close. Done. So complete and do close. Transaction number 9. Now we'll go on to perform the revenue recognition from this transaction. What are the 4 schedules we have? Out of 1 schedule which belongs to current month, system has to recognize it as a revenue from unearned revenue to earned revenue. So we'll just go and run the revenue recognition. That system will recognize the revenue. We'll see that result as a part of accounting. Go to schedule process, or else you can go to that revenue task also. From anywhere you can do it. Recognized revenue. There will be a task job called as recognized revenue. Okay. Select and submit. So for this business unit only, the default parameters you can accept. Say submit. Okay, with this business unit, any transaction system identifies with this revenue scheduling rules, it will recognize the revenue based on the scheduled start date start from when. Fine, done. Now we'll go to the transaction. Transaction number is 9, right? Go to task list, say manage transactions. So transaction number is 9. You can search. Yeah. So this is a transaction. Just open this transaction by clicking on transaction number. Now go to actions and say review distributions. Now we can find out as revenue is recognized for current month. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll export into Excel that we can analyze. Okay, export to Excel. You see, we scheduled for 4 months. Okay, the 4 months are July, August, September, October. Fine. So these are the 4 months revenue. Here what system is doing? Receivables debit and unearned revenue account is credited with the same. Okay, receivables debit and unearned revenue account is credited. Now we run the revenue recognition for current month. For current month also applicable. That is reason. So for these 3 months, it is not recognized. For only the month called as July, it recognized. That means it moved that amount to here. That means the same amount will be offsetted from here. For which period amount is offsetting, that amount will system will take as a revenue account. It will recognize. This would be recognized. The next month again, if you run for August, so this line also will be moved to here. That's how this will get offsetted in this, and this line also system will recognize revenue. So this is how just it system recognize only the accounting logic. So if you compare with EBS, same as it is, we have this also. The same logic in EBS also. Only it just plays around accounting. Okay. So this is all about just revenue recognition, the basic configuration, same and running the revenue recognition based on the schedules. It will recognize the revenue. So after that, we have other concept called as balance forward billing. Fine. So fine, we'll just go with this. So we know it's a balance forward billing means consolidated billing. In case of EBS 11A version, we call it as consolidated billing. In release 12, EBS release 12, they changed the name to balance forward billing. In Fusion also we use the same term called as balance forward billing, BFB. So with this, what we can do is we can bill to customer for multiple invoice at a time instead of billing to customer for each and every transaction. For multiple transaction, you can create single bill and you can send to the customer. That we can achieve through this balance forward billing. So we'll see what are the simple setups required for this balance forward billing. If you want to implement this balance forward billing, first you have to create the billing cycle. So create balance forward billing cycle. Okay, here we don't need to write. Fine. Create balance forward billing cycle. That means how often you want to bill to the customer. That we have to specify. Any question? Fine. So now we have to, the same balance for billing cycle we have to associate with the payment terms. You may associate with the existing payment term, or else we can create the new payment term where you want to assign this balance for billing cycle. Okay, we can assign to existing, or else we can create new. We'll go and create the new payment term for this purpose. So create balance forward billing BFB payment term. That means just will include the balance for billing cycle within the payment term. That is the reason we are calling as balance for billing payment term. Then create for existing customer profile class, you can enable balance for billing and you can set what level the billing should happen, customer site or account, and detail or summary, all we can set, or else we can create new. Since we are going to test, let's go with the new definitions so that it will be easy to understand. So we'll go and create balance for billing customer profile class. So this profile class you can assign to existing customer. Okay, we can override existing customer profile class, or else we can create our own separate customer for to test this BFB. We will create new customer. So simple task. So create BFB customer. BFB customer in the sense, so for which customer we are going to generate the consolidated bill. Finally, we have to assign the what we call like just the balance forward. Customer profile class. Simply you can say, let's say assign balance for billing customer profile class to balance for billing customer. Let's say customer just. Okay. So these are the basic setups we have to perform. After that, what we'll do is we'll create few transactions. We'll go and create few transactions. Say we'll create 2 or 3 transactions. Then we can run. Okay, balance for billing. Okay, we'll generate the balance for billing. So that system will fetch these 3 transactions into one bill. It will generate the billing number also. If you compare this balance for billing status with the EBS, no difference except one. In case of EBS, what we can do is in the system options, we can enable a checkbox called as show billing number, so that next to transaction number system will be, we can normally find that console billing number field also. Whenever you enable the checkbox and whenever you generate the bill, the transaction is falling under which bill, the bill number also it will display, which is not applicable in the Fusion. They are not providing that field under the control. Okay, except that the complete remaining setups same. Fine. Fine. First we'll go and complete these setups. Then we'll create transactions and we'll run this job. It will generate the consolidated bill. We'll see that. First we have to create the balance for billing cycle. Okay. Go to implementation project, or else directly from the search page you can find the task called as balance forward billing cycle. Okay, let's do it from the project. Say balance forward billing cycle. So task name is manage balance forward billing cycles. Click on go to task icon. And say create. So name we can give Cloud INC monthly. Start date you can take today's date, and frequency, how often we want to do the billing to the customer. Already we mentioned here monthly, the same you can select. Okay, monthly means every month or 2 months once or 3 months once, that you can say repeat every month. How many months? Every 1 month. Okay, every 1 month you want to do the billing to the customer, and which date you want to do it. What is the billing date? Okay, specific date you can select. For our testing we'll go with the today date only. So every month on 14th you want to do the billing. That's how you can specify, then say done. So we are creating the billing cycle to bill the customer every month 14th. Done. Now we can create the payment terms. We can just assign the billing cycle to existing payment term, or else you can create new payment term. For our testing we'll go with a new payment term definition. So task name is manage receivables payment terms. Click on go to task icon. Just say create. Select reference data set as a common set. Say Cloud INC. Since we are going to include balance for billing cycle in this payment term, let's call it as BFB. So net 50. Okay, it's not taking. I'll say 15. That means 15 days. So once you generate the consolidated bill for multiple transactions, customer has to pay within 15 days. So here you can select billing cycle. What are the balance of billing cycle we created, that you have to select here. What name we given? Cloud INC monthly. So rest of definition remain as this. So select include tax and freight in the first installment Here we given 15. Okay, so the same you can specify here as a payment terms 15 days. So then you can say save and close. Since we are including the balance for billing cycle into payment terms, we are calling it as balance for billing cycle payment terms. Now we'll go and create the customer profile class for balance for billing purpose. That means by enabling we'll create it. So search for customer profile class. So manage receivables customer profile classes. Click on go to task icon. Just click on create. So profile class name Cloud INC BFB profile class. So since it's a mandatory, so specify all this information collector and other details. I think we created a collector as a Cloud INC collector. Select it. And here we have a balance for billing cycle. Okay, since we want to do the consolidated billing against the customer related transactions, so enable balance for billing and specify what level you want to do the billing. System is saying the message enable or disable balance for billing, removes the payment terms in this profile. Already payment terms are there. It will make sure that we are selecting the billing cycle assigned payment terms only. Say yes. Billing level. What level you want to do the billing? Each site level or entire account level. Account level means for all the sites it will do. Without one single bill. Billing type it has to be detail or summary when system generates. So detail bill system has to generate. And select the payment term in which payment term we included balance for billing cycle. Since we are enabling balance for billing for this profile class, you should select the payment term which includes balance for billing cycle within that. So this is the one which we created, which includes. Then you may select our statement cycle. Done. It says save and close. We created balance for billing profile class. Means by including we created. Now we'll go and create the customer. Search for the task called as create customer. Here we have a task called as create customer. Click on go to task icon. Cloud INC BFB customer. Select address set which we created. Say okay. Okay. Still we can go with the postal code. Fine. Let's say okay, site purpose we can go to specify, go to add address purpose. So this purpose is bill to as well as ship to. Just complete this mapping. Then just save and close. Now we have to assign the balance for our billing customer profile class to this customer. Say it's showing some matching results. So create as a new customer. Fine. Find our customer, Cloud INC BFB customer. So just click on customer account. Go to profile history. Go to actions. Say correct record. Select balance for billing profile class. Cloud INC BFB profile class. Select. Say yes. Just make sure that system is enabling all these options. Yes. Yep. Now you can say save and close and assign the same to site also. Click on site number. Just click on profile history and say create site profile. So balance for billing. The number is everything system is defaulting. Then say save and close. Say done. So we created customer for BFB purpose and we assigned a customer profile class also. Now we'll go and create few transactions against the same customer to generate the consolidated bill. Okay. Create few transactions. Say create transaction. So Cloud INC transaction source. Sorry. Select BFB customer. Just selected. What I'll do is I'll just cancel and I'll select once again. Select transaction source. Select customer, Cloud INC BFB. Say $10,000, any amount you can enter. Say complete and create another. We are going to create multiple. So the created transaction number is 10. So Cloud INC invoice. Cloud INC BFB. Say complete and to create another. Transaction number 11. Complete and close. Done. Now we have 3 transactions. Now we'll go on to submit the balance for billing job. It should generate. It has to pick those 3 transactions. It has to generate. So go to schedule process. Once you submit it, it will identify. Okay, these 3 transactions it will create as a single bill. For these 3 transactions, any individual numbers would be there. Apart from that, we can find one bill, same bill number for the 3 transactions. We'll see that. So here you can search for balance forward. So you can run create balance forward bills. Print final balance for bills or draft mode. You can go with the final or print output yes. Billing cycle. This is the criteria billing cycle cloud IRC monthly. Billing date optional because based on this billing cycle system can identify within the billing cycle we given the billing date right every month 14th or else we can enter and currency billing currency USD. And if the same balance for billing cycle, if you already assigned through customer profile class to multiple customer, if you want to generate it for specific customer, you may go with the customer selection for filtration. Otherwise, you can continue. You may select the balance for billing, payment term also optionally. So that's all. Now you can say submit. Say yes. Refresh. Fine, that here we can see the job called as print details balance for billing. The job is status is succeeded. Now you can select it to see the output of this consolidated bill. Okay, select and scroll little down to see the output file. Just click on output name. This you can click on download. Say open. Now you can see single bill which will group all these transactions. So billing number is 1. Bill number is 1. Okay, within that we have these 3 transactions 11, 10, 11, 12. So for all these transactions due date would be same. Even if okay, so you generated bill and so on so date. For that what billing what payment term you are using based on that it will generate. For all this same due date. So it's a single bill. Just we are consolidating. There is no big difference. So normally we send one by one. Instead of that, if you want to consolidate multiple, this is how we can do the setup so you can generate it. So this is all about consolidated billing, which we call as balance forward billing.
Why some companies do not use BF balance forward billing, and why some companies prefer?
See, it's a simple. If they have a scenarios where they'll have a many transactions with the customer, the best thing is they can use a single bill. They can save that stationery or whatever the process they follow. So there won't be any big reason. The simple reason is if they have bulk volume of the transaction with their customer, always it's a preferable to use. If they have very few transaction very often, so maybe every day one transaction or weekly once or 2 weeks once, it's a very few transactions. So instead of waiting for next transaction, they can just bill it to the customer even for single transaction. So that's how they can take the decision. Fine, we're done with this. So this rest we'll see in the tomorrow session. Okay, any questions on today's session, please?